What is up, bros? It's Josh here. In today's video, we took the Yue Yang out for a game to see how much the big nerfs that it just had affected the ship, and if overall the playstyle had changed or what I had seen for the ship. Now, if you guys had been wondering what the nerfs were, the latest nerfs were to its guns and to its torpedoes. The reason that this ship was apparently over achieving, and the Yue Yang was a really good ship. I didn't think the nerfs that they added to the ship were quite needed because they kind of hit everything on the ship offensively, at least. But the nerfs, if you guys didn't know, were the nerfs to its main battery. So 3 seconds now bumped up to 4 seconds, which is pretty substantial. 33% added to its main battery rate, and then added 20 seconds to its torpedoes. I thought the torpedo was fine, and the torpedoes were increased from 36 seconds to 156 seconds. So pretty substantial. Not only the main batteries were hit, but as well as the torpedoes are hit. So this was pretty big. This ship itself was a well-performing ship and ranked in clan battles. It's kind of known for being this go-to destroyer, for being extremely strong. Not only does it have a very low detection for its tier, basically out-detecting everything but the Shimikaze at 5.8, or the Gearing with a, I guess the Gearing can out-detect it with its legendary module 5.8. So the detection is low, but the main reason why this ship is used isn't so much for its offensive ability, it's because it is the one tier 10 destroyer that has radar. So that kind of being it, it's not so much that the ship was overachieving because of its pure offensive power. The ship can, it's more along the reasons that it's the one ship that has radar. So I think that they have changed some stuff. I think the ship will still be used when it comes to, I guess, clan battles and stuff like that, because having the one ship with radar, it's really good. Although I guess you have the Daring as well that has a really low detection, but it was kind of interesting. So the stats that I am using on the ship, or the numbers that I'm still playing with the ship, is I use the torpedo reload module 3, which lowers the torpedo reload by 15%. So the values I'm running with is 4 seconds on the main battery, and then I'm rolling 132 seconds. So kind of where still lower than what the old version was, but this is with the reload module. So when I'm looking at my torpedoes, this is what I'm kind of looking at. So you could switch out the main battery load if you want to grab that. You'd kind of be down near what, a 3.6, something like that. But one thing that's kind of interesting too is this going to start bringing up a lot of people in the Yue Yang using the legendary module, and maybe this was a change for them to start getting this ship to use its legendary module. But with that, you have to go up concealment expert, which I just don't think is worth it for most destroyers, especially at high tier. But with the AP changes, who knows, maybe. But anyways, let's dive into some gameplay. Let's show how the ship plays with its nerf, and if anything has really changed in how it still performs. So here we are in the Yue Yang, and actually it was kind of funny. I was playing this on stream. We were grinding the Russian destroyer line on my alt account, and I accidentally clicked on this just to check some values and accidentally hit battle. So we kind of dove in on a game I wasn't expecting this to. The Yue Yang is one of my favorite tier 10 destroyers, if not my favorite tier 10 destroyer. I love the playstyle of the ship. The deep water torps are super evil. So I actually think the torp change to this ship, adding a longer reload, is pretty justified. The deep water torps are so strong when it comes to this ship, and you'll kind of see even now with the slower reload, you'll see that the torps are pretty much still god tier, and we're gonna do tons and tons and tons of damage. The main battery though, as soon as I start firing, it is very noticeable that there is a bit of a delay. We've gone from kind of a high tier reload for this kind of ship to I would say more of like a tier 7-ish reload. A lot more of ships like that you'll see with like the Gaja is around that 4 seconds. So you may want to switch over to that main battery reload, stuff like that. Even maybe things switch around like BFT or something like that might kind of help as well, kind of to offset it. And I think one of the main reasons why this ship is known for being such a good farmer is kind of what Wargaming is trying to address, was how its smoke works. So we've kind of seen the smoke on this ship be really, really, really strong, and the reason being is it's a very fast reload. And this is like right here, this is the first, and obviously I've been playing Russian DDs all day, so a bit of a lofty shell, not quite used to that. And our Daring going against the Shima is going to chill broadside and smoke, so spoiler alert, we'll see how that works out for him. But it was definitely, when I fired my shells going from a 3 second to a 4 second, you would just kind of muscle memory remember what the Yue Yang would fire as, and you'd be like, okay, I can tell that I can't fire yet. You know, I should be able to fire and I'm not, that kind of thing. And it was definitely it was a weird situation. It really was. When it came to the ship. So, but still, the torps coming up, I guess you could feel that a little bit too. But mainly, like instantly, it was I could tell the guns were still definitely slower, and like I was like, okay, I should be able to shoot now, you know, and that was the most noticeable part. That's what I'm trying to say. Torps, I didn't really notice it too much, you know, with that stop or with the change to or with having the torp reload module. They were still pretty, I guess, semi-quick, so that didn't quite notice as much. Just adding that 32% to the main battery was the standout change when it came to this. But back to kind of what exactly is, and down goes the Darien, who's sitting broadside in the smoke. If only he had sonar and could speed up really quick, am I right? The one thing about this ship that makes it such a good farmer that Wargaming wanted to address is because of how its smoke works, and it's a very fast reloading smoke, and very you know, you have a lot of charges of it, so it lets you kind of post up in situations where you can gun down, move, okay, reposition, gun down, and you don't have that long break in between of smokes like the US Sunline tends to have. So this one was a situation of you can get into a lot of situations, as you can see, 6 charges of the smoke and then get into that. I feel like that would have been a bit more of a, if maybe they address the Pan Asian smoke when it comes to Yue Yang, maybe make the Yue Yang a bit of a different, maybe I would say more like the USN line a little bit, but still have it be quicker in the sense of the duration being shorter than the USN and still that. But I would have much preferred them to mess with that value than just kind of nerf all the offensive power when it comes to this ship. And again, this ship was so primarily used in a lot of the more higher end, so ranked battles and clan battles, because of its ability to radar and then having that advantage over something like that. So regardless though, this ship is still a monster. It really is. It's still super strong, but I don't think that it will be kind of the king that we see, especially in like random battles, as much. In this game, we're still going to do a really massive amount of damage, and we won't really have much difference. But with the introduction of the Daring, having not only a stealthier, but the AP on that ship being able to kind of rip up, and even just the rate of fire with inertia fuse, that could potentially be a new king of tier 10 destroyers. The gearing now, because the Yue Yang is going to have a faster or a slower reload, the gearing's reload is going to be a bit more competitive. So what you can see is that the gearing could potentially, with its legendary module, is potentially going to be more used when it comes to this, so the gearing will have a bit more of an advantage and be able to outspot the Yue Yang. So that might give that ship a bit more advantage and a bit more used when it comes to the parts they're kind of talking about, being the rank battles and clan battles. So we can see something like that. Also, the buffs to the Shimikaze's guns could also be a sign of that ship being used more. So you know, with the Yue Yang, it doesn't, I mean, you don't want to make one ship too strong, and I feel like maybe they could have adjusted it somewhere else a bit more, but still, you're going to get into many situations, especially when it comes to ranked battle or random battles, that you can still, no matter what ship you're in, you're going to be able to beat most people and still just do a ton of damage. But right here, you're going to start seeing I mean, already we're at 28,000 damage, almost 29,000 damage in purely guns, so a couple fires still there, still decent reload, and but it's going to be really tough to kind of show or kind of like really kind of see how this ship feels outside of a more, I would say, a more competitive scene, because in random battles, I mean, you could be in a Shima and you could be a Khabarovsk gun for guns. I mean, that's just how random battles works. But when it comes to kind of a more competitive scenario where you're playing, I guess, better people, that's going to be the true indication of how good the ship is. One thing that's going to become a lot more popular, in my opinion, is the legendary module on the gearing with the 10.5 kilometer flusher torps. That's something that's gotten a lot more popular. So stealthier DD in general, but torps that reload extremely fast, that are extremely deadly. So that's something we'll kind of play around a bit more with, and I might even make a video on that to see how that even competes. But still, deep water torps are, you know, second to none when it comes to it, and you're still going to be able to get a ton of hits. They're just not going to happen as often due to the reload speed. Still 132 seconds, so just over 2 minutes on the reload. You are going to have a bit more of a downtime when it comes to that, and you know, I guess that's kind of helping out, and I guess, you know, making the Yue Yang a little bit less of a threat, helping people get a bit closer to the action if you want, and keeping battleships from sniping too much as this Yamato kind of pushes in. But still, I mean, in most situations, you're going to be able to still do a ton of damage to destroyers, which is what you want, and really kind of have a lot. But this should kind of mix up a lot of, especially, again, in the more competitive, I still feel like radar, no matter what, in most clan battles, we would run Yue Yang as our primary DD, and our Yue Yang would do little to no damage. It was mostly just about getting into a situation where we had an extra radar. Because if you have a radar on cap, you can kind of drop out maybe a stationary Des Moines for a more offensive Zhao, or, you know, an offensive, you know, having something else. It just opens up the ability to bring something else instead of a radar cruiser. So you kind of have more freedom to open up. Okay, well, we need this here. We need a radar at this point or to cover this cap. So now let's bring this. The Yue Yang being a radar ship in most situations like that, and I thought I was gonna get wrecked here. Blue line scum, boys, blue line scum. That would, you know, kind of opens up that. So I still feel like that's going to be used the most. So it's still going to be super, super strong. And this was day 1 of the AP change. This is the first day of the patch of the AP change on battleships. So incoming so many more battleships firing HE. Feels bad, man. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. But still, 77k. We kind of just have been holding down the side. It's me and this Ponty holding down a bunch of ships over here. As you see, all of our ships kind of hanging at C cap, taking their time. But hey, what are you gonna do? But regardless, I can keep this Shima at bay all game. We have radar location, so he's not gonna sneak up on us, and we can still outgun this guy because I don't even think he's fired his guns at me yet. So, and if we get a torp or two on this Yamato, we can start the farm, which is always what we want. So. And we're kind of getting some map control too. We went down a couple ships early, and we can still kind of just hold on and do well. So it's going to be time will tell for the more, I would say, quote-unquote competitive. Now when it comes to obviously the highest tier competitive, Yue Yang isn't really even used because high tier competitive has CVs, so you want ships that have the anti-A consumable, so Gearing, Groves of Warrior are going to be the two massive ones there. But when it comes to clan battles or rank battles, it would be really interesting to see, one, how prevalent the Yue Yang actually is. You know, when it comes to rank battles, you want something that is kind of still focused on damage. So lowering the damage on this ship, is it going to be kind of worth it? Instead, you know, because maybe you're taking the Daring, or maybe you take something else, this could definitely be used in other situations. So I think this will kind of change up some situations, but the Yue Yang still, even though it got its massive nerf on both main battery and both torpedoes, you're really still going to be able to just slay with this thing. After a while, I didn't really even notice the torp reload. It's just because it's so kind of, I guess, minimal. With that reload booster, you're really only losing, like, I guess 13-ish seconds. Doing quick math, it might be it's a little less than that because I do use the reload booster. And again, it might be kind of fun to mess around with the Yue Yang legendary mod. Who knows? But I just don't like trading detection on my DDs. I don't want to give another destroyer in any kind of way to kind of, I guess, keep what's the right word? They have a better advantage on anything. So having that, having a better reload. I wonder if I would have smacked that guy if I wouldn't have open fired there. But of course, we keep beating up on this we keep beating up on that poor Yamato. I think he's repped. We got him again. He's repped again. And we even get a torp on this guy. So we kind of lined that up perfect. So I wonder if I would have dev struck him. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But there, 168k, 170k, and still going down, and still there. But again, the ship has gone through a pretty sizable nerf, both the main battery and both the torps. But this thing is still going to be slaying at tier 10. It's one of my favorite, if not still my favorite, tier 10 destroyers, and really enjoy the playstyle of this ship, really enjoy how much of an impact on this ship it can. And the rest of this game is going to be pretty boring. I think the other two battleships end up dying, and the Jutland ends up running for the rest, or the Shimakaze ends up running. Oh yeah, Jutland I think ends up dying, and Shimakaze ends up running, and I think the Yamato ends up getting killed. So nothing too crazy the rest of this game. So we'll take that. We got to kill 175k, so the deep water torps are still crazy good, and still being able to hold off a bunch of ships. Again, I want to see this ship with these nerfs in a more I guess hostile territory of playing against better players. So we'll potentially see this if it's ranked battles again, or even during clan battles, which will hopefully be coming up pretty soon. Well, I guess it isn't out, so we'll be coming up soon. How this just kind of does compete. If we do kind of see the Yue Yang fall to its wayside, we kind of saw that a little bit more like with the Hindenburg. The Hindenburg used to be such a good ship. When it came to just being that cruiser position, used to be like kind of the go-to cruiser. It was so good, but it went through a couple of its nerfs, a couple of ships got buffed, and now we don't really see the Hindenburg anymore. So will the Yue Yang be the same kind of thing? Offensively, I could see it, but still having that one ship having the radar is still just so massive when it comes to any kind of I guess competitive situation. But anyways, post nerf Yue Yang still good, but definitely noticeable. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Yue Yang before and after the nerf, and if you think the nerf was justified, or if you still think the Yue Yang is fantastic. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.